Ladies and gentlemen.
It's time for the Early Bird Special. Bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
Well, good morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube and Twitch. This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. Sparky, good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
Happy Monday.
Yes, we are back
Unfortunately.
live.
Yes, and thank you guys if you joined us over the week. Last week, obviously, we had a short week due to the 4th of July holiday.
Yay.
Hope everybody enjoyed their weekend, if you celebrated or not. But Sparky, we had plenty to happen over the weekend, so let them know what they're in for.
Oh, we'll talk about the upcoming All-Star game, the home run derby, who's in, who's not. We'll talk about the Nationals cleaning the front office out. Kershaw getting in with the legend tag. The NBA 7-team trade is now official. Not much difference in what we talked about last week. Trump wanting a UFC fight at the White House lawn. Some ice news. We've got some miscellaneous NFL news. Feel free to call or text in anytime at 661-842-2000. And you can also watch our video stream on YouTube, the Early Bird Special, and Twitch. I think that's it.
That is it.
I was going to call it something else.
Were you really? Uh-oh. God only knows. But let's start with the MLB All-Star game and the rosters being announced. A lot of snubs. 19 first-timers. It's a little bit lower than the 32 we had on the roster last year. But at this point, Mookie Betts left off the lineup amongst others. Let's go down the list that were announced over the weekend. Obviously, we gave you guys your starters last week, but I'll go through them again. Cal Rayleigh from Seattle, a first-time catcher, leader of the entire league in home runs. I believe he has 35 right now as it sits.
35.
Will be starting at catcher. Vladdy Guerrero Jr. will be your starter at first. Gleyber Torres will be at second. Jose Ramirez at third. Jacob Wilson, the rookie shortstop from the A's, will be the starter there. And then you got Aaron Judge, Riley Green, and Javi Baez in the outfield, as well as Ryan O'Hearn will be the starter for the DH for the American League. Your reserves that were announced over the weekend: Alejandro Kirk from the Toronto Blue Jays, Jonathan Arenado, I apologize, from the Tampa Bay Rays, Alex Bregman from the Boston Red Sox, Jazz Chisholm from the Yankees, Brandon Lowe from the Tampa Bay Rays, Jeremy Pena from the Astros, Bobby Witt Jr., no surprise there, from the Kansas City Royals. Probably should have been the starter at shortstop, in my opinion. We'll get into that in a little bit. Byron Buxton, Steve Kwan, Julio Rodriguez will be the reserves in the outfield, along with Brent Rooker from the A's. The absolute slugger at DH for the A's will be a first-timer as well. And then the pitchers, you got Hunter Brown, Chris Burbick, Jarrett Crochet, Jacob deGrom, Max Fried, Yusei Kikuchi, Tariq from the Tigers, obviously Scooble, the absolute stud. Hopefully he'll be starting. Shane Smith from the White Sox. Someone from the White Sox actually made it, believe it or not. And Brian Wu will also be in there. Aroldis Chapman, Josh Hader, and Andres Munoz. I don't know why I always read his name wrong. Every single time I look at his name. No, it's actually the Andres part that trips me up. I have no idea why. I always want to call him Andre, but it's Andres. It is what it is. That's your AL. Your NL, as we said last week, your starters: Will Smith from the Dodgers, Freddie Freeman, obviously at first base, Ketel Marte at second, Manny Machado at third, Francisco Lindor at shortstop, Acuna, Crow Armstrong, and Tucker in the outfield, and then, of course, Babe Ruth himself, Shohei Ohtani at DH. Surprise, surprise to no one. Will he pitch, though, in the All-Star game? We will find out. The reserves: Hunter Goodman from Colorado. Somebody from the Rockies made it.
Which we're going to talk about that because
somebody from the Rockies made the All-Star team, Sparky.
I was starting to think, are they just putting a player for each team?
I mean, at this point, that's what I was thinking. I was like, really? He was the second best catcher in the league? He was the second best we got. Philly got JT Realmuto, and we chose somebody from the Rockies. I don't think anybody from the Rockies deserves to be anywhere near this All-Star game. But that's just me. Pete Alonso will be your reserve on the infield as well at first base. Ellie De La Cruz, Brendan Donovan, Matt Olson, Suarez from the D-backs, along with Corbin Carroll, will also be in there. Kyle Stowers, Fernando Tatis Jr., James Wood, and Kyle Schwarber will hopefully hit a couple Schwarber bombs for you during the All-Star game. Matthew Boyd, Mackenzie Gore, Freddie Peralta, Robbie Ray, Chris Sale, Paul Skeens, Logan Webb, Zach Wheeler, and Yoshinobu Yamamoto will also be the pitchers, along with Clayton Kershaw, who gets the nod as a Legends pick. We'll get into that in a second. As your reserve relief pitchers are James Adams, Edwin Diaz, and Randy Rodriguez. So the lineup looks good outside of, again, a handful of picks. I cannot believe we snuck in a White Sox and a Rocky in here. I'm shocked. I'm not going to lie to you.
That's stupid.
It's really dumb. I mean, but let's talk about that to set this up first before we get into any of the snubs and stuff like that. Because, I mean, obviously people like Mookie Betts left off of this list amongst other Dodgers. I'm sure plenty of Dodger fans are livid this morning. We'll text in 661-842-2000.
No Soto.
No Soto, no Mookie, no Teoscar, no Tommy Edman. I mean, and there's a lot of players that were left off this list. Text in, who do you believe should have been brought in? Personally, I know that he's not having a great year and he was injured a lot of it, but how do we have an all-star game without Bryce Harper? How do we have an all-star game without Bryce Harper?
Or Mookie, personally.
Or Mookie Betts. Exactly. Like what, how? So text in, what do you guys think? 661-842-2000. Do you think there's anybody on this list that shouldn't be? And who do you believe was the biggest snub? We'll start with that. But I mean, let's start with what the All-Star game is. We have been very vocal on this show since our inception about our distaste for most All-Star games, especially All-Star games like the Pro Bowl and NBA All-Star game, because generally they're kind of pointless. I mean, it's essentially, if you're watching the NBA All-Star game, you might as well be watching the Globetrotters, which, don't get me wrong, entertaining. But if we're going to go that far, we might as well literally let you guys play like the Globetrotters, and we'll have you guys with skits, and everybody will have fun and be like Savannah Banana basketball. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you, because that's essentially what you have made the game. Same with the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl is pointless. It's absolutely pointless. No one wants to play in it, period. And I just never understand why we even do it at the end of the year. There's a lot of problems with it. But now we have the MLB All-Star game, which the entire All-Star weekend in general has really started to fleet, especially with the home run derby taking the hit that it has over the last couple of years. Again, get to that in a second. But do you, Sparky, believe, I mean, I know we've kind of already said it, but do you believe a player deserves to be on the All-Star team if your team, one, isn't a winner, and two, unless you're having an outstanding statistical season? I don't think teams like the Colorado Rockies should have anybody on this team.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. I get that maybe you are having a great year, but again, unless you're looking like Shohei in terms of stats, I don't think you deserve to be anywhere near this, because your team clearly has not been successful.
Yeah, it shouldn't be by names. It should be by the stats and as a team. But leaving players like Soto and Betts off while some of these bottom feeders get in. I understand they're good players, but when you're at the bottom of the standings, I mean, it started to feel like, okay, well, they don't have any players. Well, we have to add one for their team, which I heard on Unsportsmanlike, they had the kind of same conversation where they're trying to keep all baseball fans watching. And I don't know if that's the best route, especially, I mean, we'll get into the home run derby, and, I watch it for the home run derby, and it's almost turning into the slam dunk contest where it's just fillers. I think if you're leading, I think the top 5, top 6 home run leaders should have to play it. I get it. There's a lot of news over the last few years where it takes stamina from players, and it kind of stunts what they do in the second half of the season.
With the swing somehow.
Okay.
Like, I get it, because trust me, like it has been proven. Jock Peterson, when he was in it, had a fantastic home run derby. I don't think he hit another home run the rest of the season. So it's like I get it too. Like, I understand, but I mean, let's be fair though, because if we look at the players that probably should have been off of this list, let's take Shane Smith, for example, who's the pitcher from the Chicago White Sox. Okay, who was selected to be one of the reserves. He's pitched 17 games. His record is 3-7 with a 4.2 ERA. What? I don't care if he's got 76 strikeouts. 4.2 ERA is suitable to be in the All-Star game. That's wild to me if that is the case. And again, Hunter Goodman, the catcher, the backup catcher, we'll look at his stats real quick. Hitting 280, 16 home runs, 50 RBIs. I'll give you that one. That one, actually, he has had a pretty good statistical year, regardless of what the Rockies have looked like. So maybe you can make an argument there. But players like Mookie Betts and stuff like that, I still believe Mookie should have been put in here, probably over guys like Brendan Donovan, although Donovan's having a pretty solid statistical season as well. I think he's almost hitting 300. But I guess if I'm saying that, though, I'd be feeding into exactly what you said you don't want in this, though, which is just the names. Because if you really lean on guys like Mookie Betts and stuff like that, true, superstar in his own right, I'm shocked that he's left off the list in general. Suarez is having a great year, at least hitting wise. And I get Matt Olson is Matt Olson, but I am just shook that you can say, Matt, that Mookie Betts doesn't make this roster. I still say there's got to be a better pitcher at least to fill in for the Chicago White Sox player, though. There ain't no way in hell. 4.2 ERA is not good enough to be in the All-Star game. But again, text in 661-842-2000. We'll read your text messages as soon as we can get to them. But let's talk about the other problem. I mean, you already brought it up. We both watch the home run derby regardless. The other problem when it comes to the MLB All-Star weekend is the fact that really everything else about the weekend has just fizzled out. There's not a lot of popularity and allure around the home run derby anymore because of just how bad it messes up players' swings, which again, totally understand once you put it really in perspective. But I think you need to add something to this All-Star weekend. Like, I think the celebrity softball game is always fun, but again, it's just pointless entertainment. I mean, you're not expecting to see great baseball or softball there. However, I think there's a great partnership that's hanging out here that's already kind of there. What if we do something with the Savannah Bananas? Like, don't get me wrong. I get there's a lot of traditional baseball fans out there that don't like the Savannah Bananas. It's very Harlem Globetrottery, as I said earlier.
Yes, for some people that don't know who that is, what is that?
So the Savannah Bananas are essentially, well, the easiest way to explain it is that it's a baseball team that is created for entertainment purposes of former players and athletes from like college days that they play baseball, but it's more interactive with the fans. Like there's different rules. We talked about it last week where certain fans, like if you catch the ball as on a foul ball, that's actually an out for your team. Like there are certain things that they've done to incorporate the fans a little bit more than traditional baseball has, and done stuff within the game to make it fun. Like you're not necessarily playing a full 9-inning game. You're playing to win the innings. So say you win the first inning 4-5, and then I come back and win the next 3 somehow. I'm actually winning the game 3-1, which gives you plenty of opportunity to come back. And there's actual competition behind it. It's not scripted like the Harlem Globetrotters. The Bananas don't always win. That's not how it works. Like it's actual traditional stuff. And then they throw in dances and just fun, entertaining stuff in between just to make it fun for the fans that are actually watching the game. So I think that there is they just had an entire game and stream online of it on Roku and a whole bunch of other stuff at Fenway Park. So these guys are, I won't say filling up your stadiums, but they're at least pulling people in enough where they can get a respectable number of tickets in your ballparks. I think if you create some sort of game or some sort of interaction with the Savannah Bananas, you can at least just reignite everybody's just attraction towards the weekend and make it fun and actually get younger fans to come over to baseball again and say, maybe we can have fun with these guys. Maybe Pete Crow Armstrong is just like me and wants to dance on the field instead of just stand there. You know what I mean? Like make it look like it's entertaining to play baseball again. And honestly, I think that the Savannah Bananas do a great job at that. If you've never heard of Savannah Bananas by now, highly suggest you go online and watch it because it is very, very, very entertaining.
I didn't know what it was until we talked about it last week.
Oh, no, dude. It is so much fun. It's been around for years. It pulls in people everywhere they go, and they tour around the country. And these are all just normal guys who want to play baseball. Some of them are like athletes and oh, what do they call the gymnasts and stuff like that? Like some guys will literally do backflips as they're catching a ball. It's the coolest thing ever. And don't get me wrong, it's meant to be that way. It is genuinely, that's why I'm saying the easiest way to compare it is really the Harlem Globetrotters.
Just entertainment
Without the for sure win for the Harlem Globetrotters. Like everybody goes to a Harlem Globetrotter game knowing they're gonna, the Generals got no chance here.
you're
Like
going
no way.
for the fun.
Exactly. So that's what this would be, and you would bring some actual entertainment back to the All-Star game. Finally,
I would watch that.
I'm not saying that you make the All-Star team play the Savannah Bananas. That's not what I'm saying. But much like the NBA All-Star Weekend does, stretch it out an extra day, play your game on Sunday, have the home run derby on Saturday, and then Friday do the softball, celebrity softball game with something with the Savannah Bananas and your players, some sort of interaction between the two, where one, you could introduce these players to the world and show that they have personality, but two, you could show that the game is still fun and you can actually make it fun. And that's just the best part about it to me. But that's just my opinion and what I think they can do to actually improve this All-Star weekend. I'm very critical of All-Star weekends, but I'll at least try to bring something to the table to actually improve it. That's just my thought.
Well, we'll take our first break. We'll get into who's actually confirmed to be in the home run derby, who is not, and the what was it? The Nationals cleaning the front office over the weekend. We'll talk about that and much more. Feel free to text in 661-842-2000. We are the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield, 1230 a.m.
101.1 FM. Welcome back. A little Ozzy for your morning.
Farewell, Ozzy. As he did his final concert over the weekend.
Did you see
Yes.
that his daughter
I
got
was just gonna
proposed to?
say, I had no idea that she was even dating the guy
I didn't
from
either.
Slipknot,
I didn't either, but I mean, hey,
but it
hey,
fits.
rock runs deep, and hopefully that just means we're getting more Osborne in the music industry for the foreseeable
Well,
future.
poor Ozzy, man, he's been rocking it for 50, 60 years. So
Poor Ozzy, I think he's
poor
been
Ozzy.
enjoying himself.
Well, he looked like he was
And as
on
long as
his
we
own
don't,
out.
as long as we don't get a scandal with any of these guys.
Well, he did the
probably.
concert in his pimped out handicap chair.
Yep.
And I mean, what I saw of it, I mean, they did some super groups where, a couple guys from one band, another band. It was a cool show. So I
God,
went to Ozfest 6 or 7 times.
Did you really?
And every time Ozzy blew it away, but it was kind of sad to see. People are crying in the crowd, and it's cool. He rocked us his whole life. So
Thinking of, or at least talking about concerts like this always pops this question in my head. But I'll present this to the listeners as well. Who's the one artist or band that you wish you could have saw in their prime?
Rage.
Really? I think that's a good one. I always say Queen.
Rage and the Chili Peppers I always wanted to see on my bucket list. I've had tickets to see them both, but COVID canceled both times. So
Queen,
I would have loved to see them.
Queen has always been mine, and then Linkin Park with Chester. Now, I was able to see Linkin Park without Chester. It was at the tribute show and everything, but I've never been able to see Chester perform. So obviously those two would be mine.
I got to see him a couple times. He was as advertised, a badass.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously there's hip hop artists up the wazoo that I would love to see. I mean, Mac Miller is up there for me too, but those two have always been on the top of my list. So I'll present that question to you guys as well. 661-842-2000 if you want to share and chime in. But do we have any text message right now on the All-Star before we get to the home run derby and who said no?
We do. It said the first one says all teams must be represented in the All-Star game.
I don't think that's fair, because if that's the case, then every team should be able to pick one player to represent them. If we're going to go that route, then that's what the All-Star game should be, is that every team gets to pick one player and that's your representative.
And that's another one says all teams must be represented. It's in the rules. The next one says I'm cool with the Dodgers going to the All-Star without Mookie. He needs the rest.
True. I think that's absolutely fair. And honestly, probably just the same for Tommy Edman and a lot of the other players on, especially your pitching.
And then the last one will kind of set up for the home run derby. It says, does the All-Star game winners get home field advantage in the World Series still?
I know they used to, but I'm not sure if that's still the thing. Let me check.
And then
if my keyboard will work. I hate technology sometimes.
It says, yeah, he wondered if it was still something that they had to play for, and maybe that's something that the NFL should do to keep the Pro Bowl going.
Right.
Which is after the Super Bowl, but I don't know what kind of incentives would make the Pro Bowl any better when it's flag football.
And no, the MLB, the winner does not get home field advantage anymore. They stopped that in 2017. I thought so. I was like, I know that used to be the case, but I thought they stopped that a couple years ago. I don't know if there's anything you can do to fix the Pro Bowl. I really don't, especially if you're going to keep it at the end of the year. And like at this point, it's literally just a week buffer between the Super Bowl and our happiness.
Maybe they have them play against this team flag football team that keeps complaining about not getting the opportunity to play.
See that. I mean,
that would
be entertaining. Get a whole NFL team against the U.S. flag football team.
He's better in Mahomes in flag football. Let him play.
We'll even let you have we'll let you have Jet. I swear, like we'll take
let him
Justin.
play out.
Absolutely take Jefferson for sure. Go ahead. That's fine. We'll play with everybody else. Now that honestly, that would be way more entertaining than what we actually get. But
when it comes to incentives, I don't know what they could do, especially since it's at the end of the season.
And that's really the long game of it all, isn't it? Because that's what these guys, at least for the home run derby, that's what I keep hearing, is that most of these guys just want to enjoy their 3 days off, just like the NBA says about the slam dunk contest.
Like the Dodgers did this weekend.
Yep. We'll get to that in a second. But I don't know. Like, I don't know exactly what you can do either to make it more incentivized to get these guys to come play. I just, in terms of the NBA and football, for sure, effort on the field is or on the court rather, is huge when it comes to the All-Star game and why it sucks. Baseball, at least you get some effort. They're still trying to hit off each other and stuff like that. And pitchers are trying to look good. Like, do you believe Paul Skeens is obviously going to be in the game for more than an inning? No. Which is why he's going to throw probably 100 miles an hour and absolutely make some of these guys look silly trying to hit it. But I still believe that there's some things that we can do to improve all of it. Baseball, to me, I mean, I'm going to stand on what I say. I know it's in the rules that every team has to be represented, and I get that. But here's the thing. If we're going to go that route, everybody needs to pick a player then and just throw them in. And that's our all-star team. And honestly, I don't think that's fair because there are guys who are having way better statistical seasons that should be on the all-star team. No other league does that. No other league has it in there where every team has to be represented. That is not a thing. An all-star weekend should be who are the all-stars of this year. We need to showcase those players. I get that baseball is trying to get inclusive and trying to be as, inclusive as they possibly can, but I just find that to be a ridiculous rule. But I mean, maybe I'm alone. Text in. If I'm alone on that and you guys believe that everybody should be represented and that's just how baseball is, then maybe I'm wrong. But personally, I think if it's an all-star game, you need to go off of based off who are the best players in baseball this year and how can we showcase them. That should be what this is all about.
Well, before we take a break, I've got to read these texts. It says, the first one is home run derby is Acuna,
yeah.
Jr. wins it in his ballpark, but my money is Carl in raking in the ball right now.
So I love Carl Rayleigh. He's obviously the leader in the home runs right now in the entire league. I'm hoping this doesn't stunt his swing for the rest of the season. But my biggest problem against this, and since we're already bringing this up, Pete Alonso said no for the first time in his entire career. Good for you. I mean, you deserve to take a year off. And to be honest with you, as a Phillies fan, I hate seeing a freaking Met player dominate this thing. But I'm more like what you said earlier, Sparky. I'm more bummed that we're just not getting the right guy, or I shouldn't say the right guys. We're not getting the best of the best.
2 of the top 5 right now.
I mean, I don't get me wrong. Acuna is fantastic. He'll get over 20 to 30 before the end of the year. Obviously, you have Woods, who's a fantastic home run hitter. I believe he is 9th, or no. He's 9th right now in the MLB. And then you have Rayleigh. Those are the 3 that have for sure locked in. Teoscar said no, so he won't be defending his championship. Pete Alonso said no. Crode Armstrong said no. A lot of these big name guys are saying no. And it bugs me because it's like, dude, the only allure you have at this All-Star weekend right now is the home run derby. I need Kyle Schwarber in the home run derby. I know he won't do it, but I need Kyle Schwarber in the home run derby.
I know you talked about doing it next year when it's in Philly.
I get that, but Kyle, I need you right now. And honestly, that's even if he's in Philly next year.
Yeah.
I hate saying this,
don't
but
see it.
Philly might not have the money to pay you. So do it now. And you got other guys, other names that I hope we see. I know we're not going to. Suarez from Arizona had started the year absolutely slugging home runs. We need him in the home run derby at some point. And Riley Green. Since we're not going to get Shohei or Aaron Judge or any of these big name guys that we want to get in there, get the young all-stars in there that are going to be showcased. It bugs me that we can't get these big name guys, but you got to do, and maybe you're right. Maybe we need to make some sort of incentive to make it more alluring to pull people in.
That's what the other text says. I think the home run derby has gone soft. I think you guys are right. Maybe they'd make the top 8 do it.
That would be obviously the most productive way to do it is just sit there and say, no, you have to. You have no choice. You have to do it. But at that point, then you're just going to get a lot of players pissed off that you're forcing them to do something they don't want to do.
Go out there and do a half energy and
exactly
not even.
And honestly, not even that, because it's actually forcing them to work. So it's like I'm sure there's a lot of bylaws that actually you would have to go through to actually make
force
that a
someone
thing.
to do it.
Yeah. So, but I would like to say it'd be easy for them to look at the top 8 guys and say, you all have to do it no matter what. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. But I don't know. I don't know how you get these guys to come back to the home run derby. Maybe it's just the way they've changed the rules over the last couple years too on people. But you've got to do something to make it entertaining. And the only way to do that is to get the big names that everybody wants to see hit home runs. Like I said, last year with Alec Boehm, love Alec Boehm. I'm a Phillies fan, obviously, with the hat on my head. But Alec Boehm had no business being in the home run derby last year. None. And for guys like Pete Alonso to sit there and say, I'm out. And honestly, again, more than deserved for Pete. He's a 2-time winner, was bounced out the last 2 years in the first round. So at this point, it's like, kind of hang it up, bud. But you got guys like Vladdy Guerrero Jr., who had a great showing when he did it. Why not try to pull him in with some, I don't know, extra cash or something? You got
how many are in it? I know
There's
3 are
8
locked
total.
in, so there's
3
5.
locked in. So there's 5 spots still open. You have to fill those 5 spots this week because the home run derby's next week.
Well, we'll talk about the Nationals, and we'll talk about Kershaw getting the legend tag into the All-Star game right after this break. The early bird special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM.
Oh, good morning.
Sparky's playing some metal to wake you up on this Monday. Let's just call them Metal Mondays.
Yeah,
Just have it. We'll have Metal Mondays from now on. Nothing but metal music on Monday. We're probably the only radio show you'll ever hear that too. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield. We have some breaking news for you from the NBA as the Clippers, the Jazz, and the Miami Heat have agreed to a trade to send Norman Powell to Miami. John Collins will be headed to the Clippers, and Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson, along with a 2027 Clippers second-round draft pick, will be headed to Utah. This is an interesting trade because Norman Powell, 20-point scorer for the Clips last year, headed to a different team. We were thinking Miami was going to make some sort of move. I didn't think it was going to be for Norman Powell, but I guess that could be a solid contributor to your starting five to help Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. Don't know if that's the big trade you were hoping to get, though. Maybe they got something else brewing. But the Clippers obviously make a solid pickup for John Collins as well to help out James Harden and Kawhi Leonard. And the Utah Jazz kind of left out to dry here with Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson. I like both of those players, but I don't know exactly how much you're going to get out of an aging Kevin Love at this point in his career. So we will see what this trade brews here in the upcoming weeks to months in the NBA season. We got to come back to the MLB though, because where do you want to start? You want to start with the Legends pick, obviously?
Man, sure.
Clayton Kershaw, well deserving of getting this Legends pick, to be fair. Again, fourth left-handed pitcher to amass 3,000 strikeouts. And honestly, he's the first guy to get this nod since Albert Pujols and Miguel Cabrera, who also got it on their final years in 2022. I think that this is fair. For a guy who has eclipsed something so big in baseball, this is his last year. I'm going to put hand to God right now. I'm pretty sure this is Clayton's last year.
That's what got into a text asking, he said, I love the Kershaw getting in with the Legend spot, but do you guys think that means it's over after this?
I would think so. It's a wrap. The only reason that he came back, well, I shouldn't say the only reason. The two main reasons he came back: to eclipse 3,000 strikeouts. Check. Done. To win one more ring. To be determined. And honestly, the Dodgers, as we've said all year long, still the favorites, no matter how bad you guys have looked as a pitching team. I think this is fair, and I do believe this is it. Wrap it up. I think this is the last year for Clayton. Everybody's got to ride off on their horse at some point, and I think this is just the year for Clayton to do that. He has. What are you going to do? Come back for 4,000? You're going to play another 10 years? I don't think.
Say they get close and they lose in the World Series. He's going to have that itch. He's a competitor.
I get that, but I don't. Again, from what we've seen from Clayton Kershaw in the postseason, not sure if he's going to be a whole big contributor to the team
exactly
at that point. I really don't, because.
And you think just because he got the record, or he got into that club, that shoot him into the All-Star game?
No, yeah, actually, no, yeah, probably. I think breaking the record, reaching 3,000 strikeouts definitely got him the spot on the All-Star team. But also, when you look at his record, he's 4-0 with a 3.43 ERA. He's better than the White Sox guy.
Yes, I was gonna say.
Like, if the White Sox player made it, Kershaw should make it.
I know there was some pissed off baseball fans over the weekend once they announced that, because I saw all the posts being like, dude, are you kidding me?
Again, I get why people are frustrated, but this is baseball. Baseball is traditional like this. When a player reaches heights like he has, when it comes down to it at the end of his career, or end of their careers, I should say, Judge will get this nod. If he's even that bad at his career, or at this point in his career, to not make it already. Shohei Ohtani, same thing, will most likely get a Legends nod. Like, come on, guys. Like, are we really going to sit there and say the game's greatest players don't deserve a nod? Like, are you going to sit there and tell me that the last All-Star game that Kobe ever played in wasn't a Legends nod at the same time?
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, Kobe was going to get the votes regardless, but it's Kobe. If he didn't get the votes that year, you really think the NBA was just going to say, Kobe's not in the game this year?
An All-Star game without him, it's like LeBron.
Yeah, right. Come on, guys. Like, you can be mad about it. I understand. And honestly, I get it. People being mad about Dodger favoritism.
Of course.
But to be fair, they do it for all of you. If you were a legend, they do it for you.
So is this franchise, I know you're a bigger baseball fan. my baseball season doesn't start for another week.
Of course.
So
It starts with the home run.
I'll throw in
That's
my
the way
2
you kick
cents.
off the season.
I'll
baby.
throw in my 2 cents after this week. But I saw in 2022 was the last time that they added the Legends players.
Yes, that was Miggy and Pujols. And honestly, again, I'm cool with it. I have no problem with the Legends players at all. I really don't. Now, again, it depends on if they're actually a legend. Like if you're Clayton Kershaw, sure, absolutely. Legends nod 110%. But if we're talking players like, I don't know, I'll just throw his name out there because he's the first one that popped in my head. Brandon Crawford from the San Francisco Giants. Fantastic shortstop. Obviously, he retired, I believe, last year or a year before. Would he have deserved a Legends nod? Heck no. Great player, fantastic player, but not a legend. You have to be a legend.
I got a couple texts over the weekend, all Dodger fans.
Oh, I'm sure.
And they were just, smearing it. I'm like, dude, I'm not an anti-Dodger. I just don't like how baseball's structured with the contracts. That's my issue. It's not your team. It's the league that I have an issue with. And I get it. Kershaw is one of the best.
Right.
And he deserves everything he gets. And I hope that, it pays off at the end.
Yeah.
But we've seen what Kershaw does in the postseason. And I just wouldn't think he's not going to come back if they don't win the World Series.
Dude,
I think it's just one of those. We've seen it in every sport.
Yeah.
When these legends, they don't know when to hang it up. And I get it. They're competitors and they want to win or they want to go out on top.
Now that I think about it, what do you think the betting odds are that him and Matt Stafford have a friendly bet between the two of them of whose career is going to last longer? Who's going to retire first? Because for those of you who don't know, Matt Stafford and Clayton Kershaw played sports together growing up and are very good friends. And I would actually not be surprised at all if we heard some sort of story afterwards that said, oh yeah, me and Matt were just betting who would actually last longer. If it was going to be me or the quarterback that gets destroyed every week. And honestly, that's a fair statement. That's a fair bet. Like, who's going to last longer? The baseball player who's throwing out his shoulder every night or the football player who's getting destroyed every weekend? Like, I don't know exactly which one's going to last longer, but both of them are absolute Iron Men for their sport. So both of them could last another 4 years. I just don't think Kershaw wants to. And honestly, especially when we saw the 3,000 strikeout situation, he walked off and all of his kids came out to see him. He still has to be able to play with all of those kids. Like, we all see him as Clayton Kershaw, the baseball player. But let's not forget that there's Clayton Kershaw, the dad. And Clayton Kershaw, the dad's got a lot of little tykes running around his house right now and needs energy to be able to keep up with them. And that's also why I think this is it. Like, I think you just said, you know what? I reached my milestone. I am the statistical greatest Dodger pitcher to ever be a Dodger. Let's wrap it up. Let's just win one more ring. Let me ride off on my white horse and just have every Dodger fan praising my name and my face anytime I walk by.
And I got drilled by the Dodger fans because I told them, because they're like, oh, we're on top. We're going to get, keep it with this and that and this. And I'm like, dude, it's almost halfway through the season.
Yeah.
Relax.
Like, don't get me wrong.
And you guys brought it up. That's what sticks in my head is when it comes to baseball and a lot of sports, it's who's hot at the right time.
Exactly.
And, I get it. You guys are 79, 80 games into the season. Well, now I could start watching because that's the other 80 games. The most important 80 games is coming up right after this week. So
we have talked about that in terms of basketball and shortening the season for basketball. What do you think is a suitable number for baseball?
100.
So okay, so you would be like you could sit down and physically
I
watch
could watch 100 games. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a respectable number as well. I think like if we got it down to like 100, 110, somewhere in that area, I think it'd be a little bit safer.
And do the All-Star game after.
So you think that they should adopt what the NFL does and do the All-Star game at the end of the year rather than okay. I mean,
and then maybe we'll get the stars in the home run derby because the season they'll look into the off season.
Yeah. I could see that, but wouldn't that also open the door of saying that you wouldn't get those players because of lingering injuries?
Well, we're not already getting them. So
true.
What's the deal?
What's the trade-off?
And I don't understand why you can call the guy an all-star halfway through the season.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but that's how basketball works too, though.
I get it, and no one's watching that either.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair.
And I mean, I think the NFL, their Pro Bowl is horrible, but I think they've got it right in, who's the best of the season in the All-Star. That's what an All-Star is. How are you going to call a team an All-Star when it's halfway through the season?
No, that's fair. That's honestly a very fair point. I just feel,
were they going to have an in-season tournament as well?
Well, no, but obviously, technically, that's what this was, though, right?
Yeah.
At least until 2017, when
they changed it.
Yeah, when you changed it all up. But when it was about winning for whatever side you're on for home field advantage for the playoffs, obviously you need to win this game. So I think you're right. Like when you took that part of it away, it at least took away the validity of keeping it in the middle of the season because there's no reason to have it there anymore. So maybe you're onto something on that.
Well, we'll take our final break of the hour. We'll wrap up with some more baseball talk. Text in anytime, 661-842-2000, right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 1230 AM.
101.1 FM. Welcome back. This is the early bird special.
And we will get to your text at the end of the hour.
Plenty of them, I'm sure. But we got some unfortunate baseball news we have to get to before the end of the hour as well, as we have another athlete that's under the microscope for potential gambling. Luis Ortiz, the pitcher from the Guardians, was sent home last week before a potential start for him and was put on non-disciplinary paid leave until at least after the All-Star break, as the MLB is investigating 2 instances in June where he, for lack of a better word, spiked a ball at the start of an inning, and it was unregularly betted on, and it went like in certain sports books, and that was flagged. Apparently, these bets were made that this ball or potential ball would be either a ball or a hit by pitch. And for those of you who don't understand, because I didn't even realize that it went this deep in terms of sports betting, I didn't realize that you could even you could put bets down on specific pitches in baseball. So, ergo, you could bet that Shohei Ohtani's 50th pitch of his next outing is going to be a strike.
Yeah, we have a problem.
That is a huge problem. And now, I mean, hearing that, because again, I was completely unaware it went that deep. I thought it was pretty long or, cut and dry of you could bet on if this guy's going to do well or not, or if the team's
the
going to
over and
win,
under.
over-unders. Yeah, like I don't go full deep into how much these guys can get paid or not paid for specific things in gambling. I thought that really only boiled down to big games like the Super Bowl, when you can bet on small stuff like
Prop
coin
bets.
flip.
Yeah.
So the MLB obviously flagged this, threw it in. It was back in June where both of these pitches were sliders away, missed by a mile. Literally, one of them was a spiked ball. Literally a spiked ball.
When you make it that obvious, you're just looking for trouble.
But here's the thing, though. Is it really that obvious? Because, and hear me out on this, pitchers do that all the time. There are wild pitches in every game. But that's kind of where I'm at with this. Is he's on non-disciplinary paid leave. I don't think they got proof to actually say this guy bet on anything.
Yeah, they're going to check the records.
Exactly. Or maybe family members bet on something. I think they just saw a huge irregularity when it came to the betting of this player on certain pitches.
And we learned that last week with family members of athletes.
Right.
They are being watched.
Flagged every single time, which they should be, to be honest with you. And at the end of the day as well, from what I've read, I'm not sure if if law enforcement is involved in this investigation at all. So this may just be the MLB as a whole looking into this. Is this what we're in for, though? Is this the new norm? Because obviously the MLB and a lot of these other sports organizations have partnered with the U.S. government to kind of put a stop to this gambling stuff. So are we strapped in for more of this?
Yes.
Where your pitcher could literally be yanked at one start because there's potential that he bet on a game.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was something else that kind of piqued my interest over the weekend. Was a basketball player, which they haven't released his name, but it's another thing about the sports betting world when it comes, which we're all about sports betting, as long as you know what you're doing, or you're not overdoing it where you're selling, we said last week, stealing.
We do not blame the sports betting organizations for this at all.
It's all revenue. Athletes. It's money. I get it.
Yeah.
But the other thing was brought up, which is being investigated, which I haven't found the story, but it's where players are shooting these half court shots, at the end of quarters, and it is attached to their field goal percentage. And the NBA is investigating a way to take that away. Because players are complaining, or where they see a player that's, just a half second, because he takes that extra step before he shoots the half court shot when the buzzer goes off, and then he throws it up. They said, dude, they're professionals. They know what the clock is, and they're doing that on purpose because they don't want it to adjust their 3-point.
Right.
So the NBA is looking into not only be on the betting side, but on the statistical side, where it won't, if it's half court or back, that it won't adjust their field goal percentage on all bets or stats.
I feel like there's an easy way to go about that, because you go back and shift the stats all the time anyway, right? You go back and double check if this guy actually got 15 rebounds. So in a way, I feel like it just mark it or not. Like, I feel like if they make it, give them 1. But if they don't make it, obviously just don't count it. It's not that big of a deal. It just shifts, obviously, the percentages, like you said. And obviously for betting purposes, that's huge, because that could be like the long and short, or that could be your the difference between your over and under right there if he makes 1 field goal. I just don't understand why we're moving towards that, like why that needs to be a thing. Like, obviously, that should have already been a thing. I don't understand why we're
We'll
even
say
talking about that.
you took the over and under of Curry making 30%.
No, yeah, I
or
totally
lower.
get that. I thought that was already a thing, though. That's the
So
weird
did
part
I.
about this. But again, going back to the gambling with the athletes part of all of this, unless there's visual proof of these guys doing it to skew their statistics, I really don't know how you can prove this stuff. I mean, Luis Ortiz, I apologize, is the only one that I've seen where there's actual video of him striking a guy out
and cursing.
Yeah. I think that is more damning than the pitches that you're looking at.
Yeah.
Like, the pitches they're looking at just look like two really bad pitches that ended up being walks that led to massive innings for the opposing team, mind you. But when it comes to you need visual proof. And the only proof that I've seen is the cursing after striking out guys, much like Porter did in basketball when he would make a 3-pointer. And he would be like, oh, damn, I wasn't supposed to do that.
Unless they find a brother-in-law or something that was making bets on that pitch.
So
that's all the proof they can get.
I'm sure he is betting on stuff. I just don't know if the MLB is looking at the right thing. And that's the problem. Like, if you want to crack down on this, I would use the right visual proof in order to actually make your point. But that's what I got to say. We got plenty more to talk about on the other side of this break. This is the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. And don't forget, go follow us on YouTube as well. We stream video every single day from 7 to 9. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Hour 2 of the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, and also streaming live video on YouTube and Twitch right now at the Early Bird Special. Go drop a like, go follow, go subscribe, all that type of hoopla. We also break up the segments as much as we can for you guys who prefer short content. Totally understand that. Sometimes you can't sit here for the entire 2-hour show. So go check out those videos as well as some of our old interviews with some great people that we've had since we've started the show on the radio.
Like Trish getting her dream match.
Finally. Well, Tiffy against Trish. I apologize.
Oh, yeah. Tiffy and Trish.
So I would love to get Trish on the show too eventually. That would be awesome.
We're working on it.
We do have a clip up right now. Go follow that as well on Instagram and Facebook. You'll see us all over the place on social media. We got to get to a whole bunch of different sports though that happened over the weekend. Quick shout out though to the U.S. men's soccer team, who unfortunately came up short in the Gold Cup final against Mexico 2-1. Were the refs against us? That's the growing sentiment on the internet. I don't know if it's true or if the U.S. were just a bunch of salty losers. Like, all right, I think America, and I say this with all pride in my heart, Americans believe we are the greatest athletes on the planet. We believe that there is not a single sport that we should lose at. And honestly, for the most part, we're right. For the most part, we are absolutely 110% correct. Not in soccer, though. Not in soccer. There are plenty of teams that are better than us in soccer. And to be honest with you, when you look at the statistics, when you watch the game, the U.S. had 3 shots on goal. 3. That ain't going to get the job done, my friends. And to be honest with you, it was just a really, really rough game for the U.S. Hopefully we can bounce back from this. We have our new face of the team, Diego Luna, who's a fantastic individual. You have a great coach leading them. I think that they can really turn this around, especially with the World Cup coming up in 2026. I don't think we're going to make any serious push, although any kind of a push for some sort of medal would be welcome in terms of soccer in the U.S. But I'm going to leave that up to you guys. 661-842-2000. Were the refs against us in this Gold Cup final? Or do you think that, much like we're just probably a little salty about the loss to Mexico? Just a little bit. But the other thing I wanted to highlight from this game is the goal to tie the game by Mexico by Raul Jimenez. And he made a very cool, wholesome tribute to a deceased football player from Portugal who also plays for Liverpool, Diogo Jota, who died in a car crash with his brother. It's really shaken the soccer world, or football world, technically, around the world, that this guy has passed at such a young age in what was a probably avoidable situation, I hate to say, but him and his brother died as they were driving in a Lamborghini, and it veered off the road, unfortunately crashed, and the 28-year-old lost his life. But the world definitely will remember him, and the world of football will definitely remember him, because you'll see plenty of just wholesome tributes to him for the next couple months, if not the year, just because of this just massive, shocking story. So that is all I have in terms of soccer. Spark, do you have any thoughts? Did you get to watch the game at all?
No.
Oh, I mean, I try to catch as much sports as I possibly can, but I get it. Soccer's one of those sports.
Well, we did
really
the X-Men over the weekend.
Oh, did you really?
We got 5 in.
Ooh,
5 in
so
3 days.
Let me see if I can get the list down then. Like, I know you have it, or at least have gone down it. So as a comic book nerd, I have to see if I can get these right. I'm assuming the first one would be First Class. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We're working here. The second one would be probably the one that came right after that then, which is, I'm sorry, I meant in timeline order. Oh God, Wolverine. Okay. We're working. X-Men 1.
Nope.
Darn.
It was First Class, Wolverine, Days of Future Past.
Okay. True.
And then X-Men in the next 2.
Well, okay. Can I throw out a little bit of here though, as a nerd, and if you guys are fellow nerds, you'll kind of get where I'm getting with this. I love Days of Futures Past. It's a fantastic film, but technically that one should be at the end.
You would think. Well, they put it in twice on the actual
but that's
timeline,
what I'm saying.
but it's not at the end.
It should at least be towards the end, because it restarts everything.
No, it's at 5 or it's at 8.
Or I'm sorry, yeah, no, not at the actual end, but you know what I mean. Like, it should be at least like right after 2 or 3, because all their lives are saved, none of them died, so they restart the whole timeline.
It's First Class, then Wolverine, then Days of Future Past, and then X-Men X2, and then The Last Stand, and then the Wolverine.
Nice.
And then it goes back to Days of Future Past before it gets into the Apocalypse.
Okay. Yeah.
And then it goes into the Deadpool.
See, and that's weird too, because Apocalypse was back in like the night. Okay, whatever.
It's
convoluted when it comes to these movies.
I forgot all about, Jennifer Lawrence being in the early ones when they go back into the past. And I forgot that they had shown Deadpool before Deadpool, which was awesome, because my son and I are big Deadpool guys.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and that's probably the best movie franchise to come out of the X-Men at this point, is Ryan Reynolds playing everybody's favorite merc with a mouth, But I just so explain to everybody why though you're going down this route.
Well, I grew up watching those. My son was the Avengers, so we're going to see Superman and Fantastic Four. So he wanted to get into the X-Men movies he never watched. So we had a 3-day weekend that we rarely get, so we started it.
See, I'm a millennial that's got a really weird take when it comes to these movies. I grew up watching them too. Don't get me wrong. I grew up watching X-Men and Spider-Man and Daredevil and all those. I find them to be awful. Like when I go back to watch them, I'm not a fan.
I can tell the difference with graphics, but I thought they were great movies.
The X-Men movies have their qualities where I enjoy them, but like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, I'm one of the only millennials you'll hear say I can't stand.
I like them all.
I cannot stand Tobey Maguire.
But I don't go into you guys like you and Hop will, poo-poo on these movies because they're not the comic side of it or whatever. But I enjoyed all of them.
I mean, and
I even watched Jurassic World over the weekend, and a lot of people, they're just redoing. I understand. I didn't watch the Indiana Jones movies after the first one.
Dinosaurs are
and
cool.
I stopped at Star Wars after the originals.
Whoa.
So I can't watch those.
Oh, you're killing me.
They're just pulling. They're just pulling for stories. So I can't watch it.
Fair.
I can't watch it.
Fair, but Jurassic World isn't?
Yeah. But it was at a theater I didn't have to pay for. So I was like, cool, I'll watch it. Plus Scarlett's in it. You put Scarlett in Star Wars, I'll watch them all.
You know what? That's also fair. I think there's a lot of people that'll do that.
I'm just saying.
Everybody has their tastes. Movies are fantastic. That's why we love them. And we will get our guy Hop on here pretty soon.
And we're going to see Superman in LA on Saturday. So we're pumped. But we'll go back into the NBA because we announced in the first hour the Clippers, Jazz, and Heat have agreed to a trade that sends Norman Powell to Miami, John Collins to LA, and Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson, and a 2027 second-round pick to Utah.
Utah's moves are just head scratchers right now to me. But okay, if you believe that is the move for you, then I will believe in it, I guess. I just don't know if you're going to get the Kevin Love of old, and I'm assuming that's what you made this trade for.
Kevin Love has been old.
He has. Well, yeah, that's true too. He's so old. He's got gray hairs right now. But that isn't the big trade to talk about, though. The week, because over the weekend, the 7-team trade, the largest trade in NBA history in terms of amount of teams that are a part of this, finally got finalized. The Kevin Durant trade. What we thought was originally just a 2-team trade expanded to 7 different teams, as we mentioned last week. The Rockets, Suns, Lakers, Timberwolves, Warriors, Nets, and Hawks were all a part of this. And the reason this took so long to get through the NBA is because all these teams were working in free agency as well. And with the free agency moves, had to make certain cash considerations to each other in order to make these actually mesh and make sure this trade worked for everybody. The biggest beneficiaries, in my opinion, are the Suns, who received 6 different players, including Jalen Green, Brooks, and Malik, the 10th overall pick in this year's draft. I mean, across the board, they got just tons and tons of people to build around for the next couple of years. Even if they decide to move on from Bradley Beal or Booker, doesn't really matter. Plus, you got a second-round draft pick on top of it. There's really no other major swaps to talk about outside of, I guess, the Clint Capella move is now tied to this trade as well. So that is part of it, and that's where the Rockets stand. They got Kevin Durant and Clint Capella. The Lakers pick up Adu Thiero. The Wolves get Rocco Zerarski from the Lakers, along with a second-round pick cash considerations. The Warriors pick up Alec Tooney and Jemiah Mashak, and then the Nets get 2 second-round draft picks, and the Hawks get a second-round draft swap with the Houston Rockets, along with I can never remember this guy's first name, Roddy, and cash considerations as well. This is a massive trade, but it also, I feel, opens the door for other teams to do something similar. I think we're going to get a lot more of team or trades like this, at least in the off season. I don't think you'll see it in the regular season, but do you think there's going to be a day now we potentially see a trade with 8, 9, or 10 teams?
I could see it, especially if it's all really on the financial side.
Oh yeah.
How they can make that work. And I also read over the weekend that Bradley Beal is pushing for a buyout and is looking at a trade partner. I also read that Dame Lillard is taking calls from everywhere, but it's been heating up his Boston that he wants his boy Tatum,
Oh,
and that was the latest from Shams this morning. Said that Lillard is open to business when it comes to Boston, as he has a close friendship with Tatum, as they were teammates with Team USA in Tokyo.
okay. So was everybody else on that team. Why single out Tatum? Like that doesn't make any sense to me. But okay,
Unless they were just boys.
no, I get that part. Like if you're homies, I get it. But it's like there's video of Tyrese Halliburton and Joel Embiid trying to talk each other into coming to play for each other's teams. This happens all the time.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't put a lot of validity to it, but I mean, the only validity I would put to it is the fact that Dame wants a ring, and obviously Boston presents arguably the best opportunity to do that, especially if you can get him, Brown, and Tatum on the court at the same time.
At the same time, exactly, and that would be the uphill battle.
Yes, because well, obviously the injury to Tatum, and now the injury to Lillard, you're at least going to be out half the season, if not 3/4 of it. I would assume if you're Damian. For Tatum, you'll be lucky to play at all. It's gonna be a really weird situation for Boston next year. So I don't know if that's really gonna be enough of a pull to get someone like Damian to sign for a long-term contract. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he has that much of a want to go play for Boston, and he actually has wanted to play there for quite some time. And I'm completely wrong on this. So we'll see. I think there are better locations for Dame than Boston to potentially win that ring for you. But again, I can't get into the head of Damian Lillard at this point.
I know he there was more that got into the whole Dame release, is that he had asked the organization to let him rehab at home where he can be closer to his kids, and they said no. And he said, okay, well then get me out of here.
Usually teams would be completely okay with that, I would assume.
I mean,
as long as you are with a doctor that they can green light and know that they're doing the right thing to make you, or to heal the injury.
So that was my question. Milwaukee paid the guy real well.
Why would you
want to handicap a guy to be away from his family when he is obviously trying to rehab to be the best Dame he can be for the Bucks?
Right. And I don't know if that's why, like, some of these stories I have to take with a grain of salt sometimes, because
I always check the source before I say anything, because I've seen too many on social media. But another pickup was the Grizzlies one, where they traded Huff to the Pacers. I know they're in need of a center after letting Miles go. And they also picked up Jack Landale to replace him. So they picked up a couple centers in the last few days. Obviously, it's not Miles Turner, but I think that was another thing that the rumors were saying. Miles was lowballed, and he wasn't given a discount after, how well he played in the playoffs this year. And
sometimes you have to, though, because that's the point I was going to get to with these big number team trades. Like when we potentially see 8 to 9 to 10 teams here, is because how big these contracts are getting and how crazy you have to just make these moves with cast considerations and stuff like that to make it work. Exactly. I think that's more likely how we're going to get a 10-team trade, is that you're going to get trades like this, but when you really look at it and you look at this trade, there's really only 2 teams that have benefited tremendously from this trade. That's the Rockets and the Suns. Outside of that, everybody else, it's kind of just small little tidbits here and there with second-round draft picks thrown in and some cash. So there's not a lot of ground-shaking movement here. But in order to get big contracts like Kevin Durant and stuff like that moved, you need multiple teams to help you do that. And the fact that it went up to 7 teams shows me that teams are willing to work together regardless of what side you're on to make these things work. And I genuinely believe in the next 3 to 5 years, we're probably going to see a 9 to 10 team trade at some point.
Yeah, it'll be a normal thing.
Exactly. Especially with how big these contracts are getting. God only knows how big they're going to get when Cooper Flagg reaches that max contract area.
Oh, he's going to be the first player to make $1 billion.
That's what they say accumulatively throughout his entire years there. That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, these contracts are going to start getting massive. So if that's the case, you need this many teams in these trades in order for it to work.
So we'll take our first break. The summer league has started. Ace Bailey got on the floor. We'll talk about that. And there was another player that played pretty well in that damn game. And Chris Paul reassuring he is done after this season. And I want to bounce some stuff off of the Irving, saying that he's going to take his time with this rehab right here on the Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM.
It's always a good day. We can start with a little metal on your Monday. Just live it down. You guys who don't know. Sorry.
Chris Paul announcing this is it, which we are.
Guys, no, we talked about this weeks ago.
Yes.
Like, or at least we predicted it weeks ago. I mean, he was kind of up in the air with it when we had last mentioned it, that he wasn't sure how long he was going to be in the NBA, but he wanted to be a dad.
He wanted to focus on being a dad to his kids. And again, I think I said it or you said it. I said we had maybe a year left, maybe two, if you
That's
wanted
what he
to.
said, at the most a
At
year.
the most a year. And that's saying something because he's still a free agent. You got to sign him. That's my point. That's why I feel like the Lakers may be in the move for him, especially if they don't end up with Damian Lillard.
I think that's what it is.
I think that finally pairing him up with his buddy in LeBron James and making that work and potentially helping Luka if they can get that to work as well. You just got to figure out how all of these contracts can mesh together because Chris is going to want his money too. And if you can't pull him in, Chris has all the right in the world just to go right back to San Antonio and say, let's go. Like Wemby's ready. Let's get this done. Like we've got the pieces now. So, and if I am Chris Paul, if you are Chris Paul, are you ring chasing?
No, I think he just wants to be with LeBron.
You think so?
I think it'll be the Lakers or bust. Really, I wouldn't be surprised if it was San Antonio or somebody like Dallas.
But see, with the signing of Chris Paul, would you have to move on from somebody, say, an Austin Reeves, who has shown already he doesn't really want, or he's at least unsure if he's going to want to re-sign with you? And he definitely wants money, and we aren't sure. And again, this is just the media, so I don't know exactly how great their relationship is, but there's circulation that the relationship between Reeves and Luka isn't great.
Yeah.
So
there's been a couple players that have came out in that same sentiment.
Right.
But I think Reeves will probably play out this contract this year and move on. And if I think Paul will take what he can, but I think he wants to play with LeBron, and I think ending in LA would be ideal. And I don't see anybody else stepping up unless it's way down the line, right before camp But I've been saying it since he became a free agent. I think it's the Lakers or anybody else. I don't see it.
That's fair. I think it's either Lakers or he goes back to San Antonio. I think he liked playing in San Antonio, which is why he was there for so long. But he is probably just looking to wrap it up on the best possible foot forward. But again, like you said, at most a year.
Yeah.
Which means he's contemplating leaving right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
So you say a month goes by and he still isn't picked up. You think he just hangs it up?
Yeah, I think if by the start of the NBA season, if he doesn't have a serious consideration for a contract, he hangs it up. I think genuinely Chris just says, you know what? I'm done. I'm done playing basketball. Clearly, I am not valued enough for people to make a move for me, and I want to be with my kids, and I want to be there while they grow. So if I was a betting man and that guy is not on a team by the start of the regular season, I'll give you the end of the preseason. By the start of the regular season, he retires. I think he just washes his hands of it and says, you know what? I'm moving on to the next part of my life, which is being a dad.
So he's got plenty of time.
Exactly.
Was that October?
Yes. And honestly, I think someone does make a move for him, especially when the season starts progressing a little bit more. Or I say the season starts progressing. The off season starts progressing a little bit more, and everybody sees what pieces they have on the court right now. Exactly. And honestly, there's a lot of questions on a couple teams right now when it comes to point guard. I just think that there are better, or at least more interesting options for people with guys like Damian Lillard out there right now. And that pulls away from the market value of Chris Paul, who in his own right, first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion, arguably one of the best point guards to ever play.
What about the Warriors?
That's all. I think that's on the table as well, because that's been talked about for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And honestly, a team with him at the point, Steph at 2, Jimmy Butler at the 4 probably, and Dre at the 5. Ooh.
Is that one a team that you'd be like maybe 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like the Jets were last year, or what we're seeing from
the Steelers
this year. But I don't know, dude. I think there's still just enough of Chris Paul talent in there to at least be a facilitator for any team that needs him. Now, is he going to be a superstar for you? Probably not. Will he get the Legends pick for the All-Star game? Yeah, 110%. Yes, he will. But it's just one of those situations where he's got to pick the right team for him. And that's why I'm saying that I think ring chasing is on the table right now, because he's the only one of the banana boat team that hasn't got a ring yet, and arguably has competed the hardest for one. So I think he's the most deserving at the end of his career. I really do. I think Carmelo Anthony was in the same boat when he retired. I was really, really hoping somebody would get Melo a ring. I really was, but it just didn't happen. I think this is the perfect time for Chris Paul to find that team, though, and make it happen. So I would be very surprised right now if someone didn't offer him a contract. It may not be great lucratively, but somebody is going to reach out to Chris Paul and say, come play for us. We're going to get a ring for you.
Well, the summer camp or the summer league has started. We got to see Ace Bailey, the number 5 pick for Utah, go out and play. He went 3 for 13.
Yep.
He did have a good defensive side, but
VJ Edgecombe
made him look
stupid. That's what happened. VJ Edgecombe, the number 3 overall pick, who was supposed to be the number 4, but taken by Philadelphia because Philadelphia said, well, fine, Ace, you don't want to play for us? We'll take this kid instead, who ended with 23 points and like 7 assists or something like that. He tore it up.
He had a hell of a game.
Absolutely. And jawed at by a couple players too, and jawed right back. So he fears no man on that court right now. And again, we come back to the main question, which if you look at if you're one of the people who have commented on our YouTube page, thank you. We appreciate you, even if it's good or bad, doesn't matter. But the state of Utah is trying to turn Ace Bailey around right now on wanting to play there. That's the long and short of it.
Mm-hmm.
And
coach came out and said, we're not worried about his offensive struggles. That'll come in time.
Ace is going to be one of those players you see throughout all of spring training because he is a prospect. He is something that you need to build. He is something that you need to actually show him, hey, you're young still. There's going to be growth in this first year. You're not going to be the rookie of the year, which is why it kind of looked bad when he came into this draft process pretty much with the representation saying he is going to be the rookie of the year. Because that's essentially what you're saying as his representation and telling teams, don't draft us. We don't want to come play for you. Because we want to play for where he is going to be the best at, because he's going to be the rookie of the year. He's going to be the best draft pick out of this draft class. That's essentially what you're saying is his representation.
Yep.
So you put a maggot on his back for people like us to talk about.
So thank you.
Yeah, so thank you. But at the same time, I feel bad for Ace because all Ace has ever said, and that's all you've ever heard me say, is I'm just here to play basketball. I'm just here to become a good basketball player, which is what you want from your young prospect. But with games like this where he's getting absolutely just manhandled and not look good on offense, yeah, you're going to have a lot of people talking about it and saying, oh, he looks awful. It's also spring training, essentially. It's summer league.
Yeah,
calm down.
We'll get to see Cooper on Thursday as he plays the Lakers. But we also got a text before we wrap up basketball. Says he sees Chris Paul with the Knicks.
That's not a bad choice either, to be honest with you, especially with a team that needs somebody to back up Brunson. And Brunson and Paul play very similarly. I've noticed like they're very just nose to the grindstone, put your shoulder down and get to the rim kind of point guard that loves to dish it to their friends, I should say. It's not a bad choice. I think there are a lot of really good suitors for Chris Paul. But again, until this Damian Lillard thing gets figured out, I don't think anybody makes a move for Chris Paul because there's a better option on the board. And that's just the long and short of it. You're going to see a move for Damian, but well before you see a move for Chris.
Well, we'll talk some miscellaneous. Plus, we got to get into this Trump UFC if it's really going to happen right here on the Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM.
About 30 minutes from walking to my house the other day. Ruined my tire. So mad. So mad. Rough weekend, but it is what it is.
That happened to me a couple weeks ago. It's
Yeah,
a
it's
pain
the
in
worst.
the-
You know what's funny? I can feel it when it happens too. I backed out of my driveway and I just felt it. I was like, I had my window down. I heard something was wrong. No, not really the hissing
That's
sound,
what
but like
mine
you know when
was.
you roll over it and it sounds like there's a pebble stuck in it.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's weird. That sounds weird. It's a little off. That's not good. So I pulled over, felt around my tire, and all I feel is a massive screw right in the middle of it. I'm like, ooh, clean up the streets, man. Stop it. Stop leaving your screws everywhere, for people like me to run over. That's not cool. It's not cool.
It
Not
happens. It happens.
at all.
And mine was the first day of summer, so I was like,
Ooh.
man.
So yeah, at least you were. I wasn't out in the heat yet. That
And
was
I
the
didn't
good
have
part
enough
about it.
time to get home to do it, so I had to pull over in the Valley Plaza parking lot
Fun.
where I was going to pick up dinner for the family. And by the time I changed that tire and then found out my jack that was included with my Tacoma wasn't big enough to get these big tires off, so I had to call AAA after that. So I just gave him my dinner. I was like, just take it.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I was worried about that when I was putting mine up because the jack they gave me for my car is tiny.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think this is gonna work. I got it to work though, thank God. But like even when I was tightening the tire, the jack had fallen and my car shifted. And I was like, well, thank God the tire's on there already, because otherwise I'd be messing with an absolutely messed up axle right now. But it is what it is. Hope you guys had a better weekend than I did. Do we have any text messages right now? 661-842-2000. I know we don't get to them nearly enough. And feel free to call us out on anything as well. I mean, we're here just for your guys' entertainment. So what do we got?
The first couple were talking about the 3 bands or music artists that they want to see.
Nice. What do we got?
In their prime was the first one was Michael Jackson,
Ooh,
Korn, and Pantera.
Korn you could still see. I still say I've not been able to see them in quite some time, but I've heard Korn is just as good now as they were when they were in their prime. So you can still see Korn.
I still
But I agree with
you. Saw him in the first couple of tours, you could see the difference.
Look, man, if there is one rock band that'll probably keep going until they all die, just like old school rock bands do, it's Korn. Yes. It's the guys from here. They love playing together. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
The other one said Linkin Park, Woodchester,
of course,
Kiss,
nice,
and Motorhead.
Ooh, Motorhead would be awesome. You know what? I did not even consider Motorhead. That's another good one as well.
The next text says Savannah Bananas. Hell no. Chris has lost his mind this morning.
You look, man, it's just an idea. I'm just throwing out what possibly you could bring into the All-Star weekend to make it a little more, entertaining for people that are younger or just people that don't like the product right now. It is something that's different, that's making baseball fun again. That's all we need to do. Make baseball fun to watch it. That's the long and short of it. So if I'm crazy, then I'm sorry. I've lost my mind in a million different things, but I don't think I'm off on this one. I really don't.
This one says, your season starts next week, Sparky. That's crazy, dude. Baseball is America. Are you not American?
Are you not American, Sparky?
Yeah.
I mean, did you watch the hot dog eating contest this weekend?
I did not.
You didn't see? Oh.
No, I can't watch somebody
You can't do
eat
that?
70
No?
hot dogs.
Dude. Honestly, that's the only time I echo the sentiment of a lot of my friends, including our friend Ali Saldana, who might be listening right now. Hello, good morning. I watch it. I am grossed out every single year.
I can't watch that crap.
I watched the lemonade drinking contest as well with was it Joey Badass or whatever the guy's name is. I can never remember, but I enjoy it every single year. But every year I walk away thinking, thank God I don't eat like that.
It's like the Man versus Food. Have you ever watched that show?
God, so bad.
That's disgusting.
It's so don't get me wrong. There are certain ones where I sat there and I think, okay, I could try this.
What's funny is we had a Wiener Schnitzel Thursday night and we ate 2 each and we're all like, oh gosh, we're stuffed. And then this guy the next day eats 70. I'm like, that is just gross,
what happens when you start dieting. You can't handle it anymore, man. But yeah, 70 hot dogs from Joey Chestnut. 70. The over under was 71.5. 71.5 is your over under, and I can't even imagine.
If you're betting on that, you also obviously have an issue.
Look, man, I can't even imagine looking at 70 hot dogs, let alone eating them. So I give him credit for that. And I've also watched these guys go through to train for these
Mhm.
things, and it's crazy. Like, it's not just all about going and just being fat and just eating everything you can. Like, you have to train your stomach. You have to stretch it out. Like, there are certain things that you do.
Certain things they eat.
Yeah, like lettuce, I guess, is huge for this because like it stretches out your stomach while also just not keeping
Is
you
that why
full.
we eat salad before dinner?
I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
That's what I
Well,
hear.
big shout out to Dan over at Harris Barbecue because we did get the family package,
Oh, the brisket
and
was so good this weekend.
that killed it.
That was my thank you, Dan, because that was literally the one thing that saved my weekend. I had a friend go pick it up for me. And honestly, we put it on the barbecue and said, this is the only thing that's saving my 4th of July weekend is the fact that I have brisket on the barbecue right now.
And it was bomb. So I
It's
enjoyed
fantastic.
it. The last one says, nobody cares about that we lost in soccer, Burdick. We always lose in men's soccer. That's why the Americans support the women's.
I don't know. Again, this is true. The women's are far more successful than the men. That is 110% factual. I just have to shout it out. It was a big game for us. It was a big game for the U.S. men's team. We are not normally in the finals of anything, and against Mexico at that. And we only lost 2-1. That's a good sign. Now, granted, I agree with you. No one really cares about soccer, and then Americans will most likely never embrace soccer. But when it comes down to it, I've seen a lot of salty fans online since last night saying the refs screwed us out of this game. The refs were totally helping Mexico.
That's
blah, blah,
American
blah.
ways. If
That's
you can't
my
win
point,
it,
though.
complain about it.
Is it more that we are just salty?
Yes.
Or is it that we actually believe the referees screwed us over? I think it's more we're salty. I think we're just American that
we're
way.
just salty.
I think so too.
And before we get into the last segment, preview Raw and tomorrow's show, I got to bounce a couple of football things off you guys.
Yes.
Cowboys, social media all-pro returner Cavante Turbin arrested over the holiday weekend. So it was a misdemeanor, charges on marijuana possession and unlawful carrying of a weapon.
His career is most likely over.
Yeah, I was just
don't you
going to say that. You think, I mean, because they locked him in last year, I think, on a 3-year extension.
And well, but see, and the only thing that I keep seeing here is Turpin is a fantastic kick returner, but really hasn't helped the Dallas Cowboys much after that. And, you know, when we talk a lot about these lawsuits that come up against athletes, or at least have in the last couple of weeks because they've been popping up like weeds. The main point that I always have to keep myself around when it comes to these is a sports organization will keep you around when they see a benefit to you, when you don't go over your skis, as it were, when the amount of trouble that you are worth doesn't exceed the amount of money they pay you. And in certain situations like this, it sucks. It's probably not going to be that big of a deal, to be honest with you. He'll probably be popped with a misdemeanor charge and let go. I don't know if the Dallas Cowboys, though, are going to stick around and keep you because you're not a huge piece of the roster outside of kick returning. And honestly, they run through kick returners faster than they run through running backs.
Say that. As a running backs, yep.
So I would not be surprised if you hear in the next week that Turpin's no longer with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he had 420 receiving yards last year. So that's pretty much somebody you can replace and probably save some money if you can put that clause in with some
going back
issues.
to this, though, being arrested for weed and guns in Texas.
Right.
How much
weed was it?
Yeah, how much weed was it, and how many guns did you have? Because you're in Texas. Like, what? Like, that's the one thing that when you texted me this over the weekend, I was like, how do you get busted for guns in Texas? That made no sense to me.
Must have been pounds of weed and some.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you
something.
had to have been doing some crazy things, especially to be a Dallas Cowboy player and busted for guns and weed in Texas.
And
that's
something
wild.
I wanted to bounce off you was Travis Kelce was on Bussin' with the Boys podcast as usual, and he took a shot saying, teams are going to start targeting Travis Hunter's pretty much how he's going to, everyone's been talking, even Rich Eisen, who comes on right after us, has been saying he thinks that he'll get about 100 snaps a game.
Yeah.
So Kelce was saying that he thinks that teams that are playing the Jaguars that will just run hot routes all day, whoever's guarding, whoever Hunter's guarding, and just make him, run all game to fatigue him before he gets into the offensive side. Is that you think is something that teams are going to, strategize
100%.
against?
I think that was probably in the cards to begin with. Because again, as we've said on this show, granted, Travis can play both sides. No one's saying he can't.
Yeah.
It's the physical demand that you're going to be dealing with. How are you going to be able to deal with the fatigue? How are you going to go through an entire 17 to 18 game season or week season and deal with that much? Like, I don't think you're going to be able to do it. And honestly, that's the first thing I would do if I was a coach.
Yeah.
If I see that Travis Hunter is, let's say that the Jacksonville Jaguars are playing, I don't know, we'll stick with the Miami Dolphins. And you got Travis on Tyreek. What's the first thing you're going to do? Hot route, nines,
Yep.
8, 7. Like, we're going deep route on him all game long to tire his butt out. You're going to have to play nothing but zone coverage, which is going to absolutely destroy you.
Yeah, that's what they want.
And exactly. That's exactly what offenses want. And then on the opposite end, now you get a Travis Hunter at maybe 75% kill. Maybe.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky. And how are you going to use that? Is he going to be a wide receiver? Is he going to be a running back? Is he going to be a tailback? What are you going to do? Because he's not going to be able to be on the field. I'm going to promise you right now, teams will run him ragged. And sure, if he'll probably try the whole first week. I guarantee you he will try to play the whole first game the first week just to prove a point. But by week 5, week 6, week 7.
Yeah, this isn't college. This is a whole different speed.
Cohen is going to look at him and say, hey, take a seat.
Slow it down.
Take a seat. I need your ACLs and MCLs preserved, please.
Yes, we need you.
Like, you're playing arguably the hardest position in football at the cornerback position, and then swapping over to literally be an all-everything offensive star. That's a lot to ask for from a rookie. It's a lot to ask for from anybody, regardless of who you are. And I don't care if he's got a motor like the Energizer Bunny. Eventually, it's going to falter. It's going to go out. We're all human. You're not Superman, dude. You're not. I'm sorry. It's gonna happen. And honestly, for Travis to go on a podcast and talk about it already means they are very confident it's going to work.
That's what they're all planning on doing.
Yep, they are very confident that it's going to work and that they're not the only team that's going to do this. So,
and lastly, the last one for football, I saw Devin Fitzgerald, son of Larry Fitzgerald, committed to Notre Dame, where a lot of these athletes' sons are all committing to.
All these Nepo babies and still no national championship, Irish. All these Nepos.
You think that's going to end badly?
No, I think this is going to be great. Honestly, you look at the team and what they have. I mean, there's a lot of really notable players. Plaxico Burress's son is on this team as well. Jermichael Finley's son is on this team as well.
Jerome Bettis.
There's a whole slew on this offense now. I think there's a couple defensive players too. I'm pretty sure Brian Urlacher's son is on this team as a safety.
I didn't see him. I saw Bryant Young's son. I saw Flanagan's son and Thomas Davis Jr.
So don't get me wrong. Notre Dame is pulling in from these sports families and getting all of these kids, which is going to look cool on paper. But at the end of the day, if you can't win a national championship with these players, with these, again, lack of a better term, Nepo babies, you're going to get a lot of flack. You're going to get a lot more flack than you usually do because Notre Dame has a long history of success. You're obviously trying to build for more long-term success. And one thing Notre Dame does well, and I'm going to say this about Catholic schools in general, incorporate the families. If you can incorporate all of these athletes into your just alumni organizations, even if they're not alumni, imagine the NIL money you can get from this. Imagine the NIL money you can get from Larry Fitzgerald, Jerome Bettis, Plaxico Burress, Brian Urlacher, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You'll never have to pay for another athlete again. So I get it. I totally understand it. But as a USC fan, I hope you crash and burn.
Right.
I hope you crash and burn. And I hope we're part of it. But that's just me.
We'll take our last break. We'll preview Raw, and we got to get into this Trump UFC.
Yes, we do.
Right here on the Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM.
And welcome back to the Early Bird Special, final segment of the day. I gotta tighten myself up too. I missed this one. Didn't even realize this, but Ryan Urlacher's son Kennedy actually plays for the USC Trojans now. Transferred back in April. He saw the error of his ways. He realized, God, I'm on the wrong side of this rivalry. I'm going to the Trojans. I'm going to the team that wins. Yeah. But man, we win. I gotta put something over the Irish. Okay, I know we don't win all the time. I'm not Delulu.
I got to pick a baseball team in the next week, and I'm not going to go with a top team.
What?
And I'm not going to go with the Phillies.
Come on, join the red.
I can't do it.
You can go with the Marlins since you're Miami.
I don't think that'll be it, but
We'll figure it out.
I'll
We'll find
let
a
you guys
team.
know in the next week.
661-842-2000. Who should Sparky's team be? Who do you think Sparky should root for, knowing what we know now about him and his fan bases? I still say Philadelphia would love another fan. Just saying.
I stopped following one team after the whole Bonds thing. So
yeah,
I was like, all right,
I totally get that. Totally
but,
get it.
President Trump announced Thursday he's considering hosting a UFC match at the White House grounds.
He said on the lawn
with up to 25,000 spectators in part of America's 250th birthday in 2026. What do you think?
Look, I'm very back and forth on this because while doing my notes, it's President Trump. Okay, so everything he says, although he usually backs up, take with a grain of salt. I highly doubt you're going to see a UFC fight on the lawn of the White House. Although
I looked it up, I was like, is that something it's new?
No,
they've had several events out on the lawn. Foo Fighters, Stevie Wonder.
That's what I'm saying.
A couple concerts.
It's possible to actually do it. That's why I'm like, there's a lot of validity to this. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see 4th of July next year. Dana White has a whole pay-per-view plan.
McGregor already came out and said, count me in.
Like, dude, the amount of money you could make off of it is enormous. So can it happen? Will it happen? I don't know. It can happen. Do I want to see it happen? Not really.
He also came out over the weekend saying that the Commanders need to go back to the Redskins.
See,
I'm like,
you need to shush. This is why I'm saying, Donald, grain of salt.
Yes.
But looking at the situation and what it is, I don't think that it's a good look for America to have UFC on the front lawn of the White House on 4th of July.
On 4th of July.
I'm sorry. Like, there are better sports that we could be celebrating for America's
hot dog
birthday
contest instead.
Yeah, the Nathan's hot dog eating contest is better than a UFC fight. Baseball would be better. I mean, boxing would be better, even though there's the corruption of it all. A UFC brawl on the White House lawn to me just seems so tacky.
I
don't
took
know
a lot
why.
of crap posting that on our social media over the weekend.
No, dude, I get it. I saw it too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I see all the messages. Here's something that I have to throw out though. If it does happen, Dana White would have successfully taken the UFC from bankrupt to on the White House lawn. That is a wild 180. And honestly, I'm going to present this question to you. Text in as well, 661-842-2000. If you want to chime in, we could talk about this more tomorrow. Does this put Dana White in the conversation as one of the greatest CEOs of a sports organization ever, or at least somebody who's helped guide it? Should this put his name in the same thing as David Stern, Jerry Jones, Vince McMahon?
Vince McMahon for sure.
I mean, as much as we hate on Vince McMahon for all the stuff that he did, and he is a deplorable human being, you have to look at what he has done for wrestling in general, not just the WWE, but the entire industry in general. Like, the movement that these men have made. David Stern is very much credited with turning around the NBA from its drug use problems that it had,
stuff,
and turning it into what it is today. Same with Jerry Jones, saving the NFL at one point, quote unquote. I think Dana White, if this does end up happening and we get a UFC pay-per-view on the White House lawn, dude, you got to go into the record books as one of the greatest sports CEOs of all time. You really do. I don't know. What are your thoughts before we get out of here?
I'm still confused.
Up in the air about it. I mean, again,
I'm confused.
if we do have a pay-per-view on the White House lawn? Does it have to be all American?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Are we
'cause
gonna-
McGregor always
Are we going to line up Americans against all of America's biggest enemies at the time? Like, what? How are we going to
gosh.
structure this? Maybe we do it in timeline order where it's all based on the wars that America has gone down and won.
No.
Like, I don't know exactly how you would do this, but I'm just saying if Dana gets it done, if we sign this up, and honestly, they've already confirmed it that it's probably going to happen.
They're working on it.
So when this gets solidified and you hear about it sometime probably in February of next year, maybe January, my God, man, is this potentially going to be the biggest pay-per-view in UFC history and the biggest moment of Dana White's life?
And tonight on Raw, we got Seth Rollins against Penta is the main event.
Absolutely. Amongst others, I know Sami Zayn will be going against Braun Breaker, and Jey Uso's got Bronson Reed, as well as Roxanne Perez against Kairi Sane. All of that live from Rhode Island. We will be back tomorrow, 7 to 9 a.m. As usual. We got to get out of the way for the great Rich Eisen. Sparky, let's get out of here.